And I think that our vacancy rate has decreased, our staffing has increased at those high need schools, and Connor Gilbert has done a great job in working with all of our group. We have focused a program with our interns, more so than we've done in the past. We've held welcome to the district. Dr. Shanoff has met with interns. Our recruiters meet with our interns throughout the year on a monthly basis. We have some language supported through House Bill 1, statutory language that now offers an opportunity for a paid internship with our student teachers. There is one university, there's very few universities across the state that have gotten approval from the DOE to do this, but one of them is UCF, and they've only decided that they're going to work with 4 or 5 districts across the state to place their interns in this potential program, and we are one of them. They've gotten approval to put...
Is that you? Did you do that?
They've gotten approval to put 10 paid interns in each of their 4 or 5 districts that they've, and so we're working through that program as well. It all starts with the university and their recommendation of the student. In addition, through statutory language, there's an opportunity for having teachers come on through an apprenticeship program. Dr. Allen and a member of the professional development team, Justin Ravel, are going to be going to a forum that's going to be hosted by Manny Diaz related to this particular statutory language, and we're hoping that we'll get some good information about how to implement that in terms of attracting candidates to our district as well. That's at the end of this month, I believe, next week. So that's part of our attracting prong of our goal. In developing, when we have positions filled, our goal is to ensure that we're doing all we can to have excellent employees who are focused on our mission of every child, every chance, every day. And it's more than just our instructional staff, it's our support staff also that support the mission of getting our students across the graduation line and ready for that next chapter in their lives. We have become a leader throughout the state, working with 24 districts to collaborate on best practices and alignment to state requirements in this area. In addition, our professional development team has hosted the Learning Forward Leadership Team Institute convening with districts across the state to help strengthen and build our capacity from within. We also have monthly Executive Professional Learning Council meetings to collaborate on what effective professional learning for our various employee groups looks like. And in doing that, this year alone, we have increased opportunities for all of our staff to enhance their leadership skills by reorganizing and rebranding our school leadership pipelines. In doing so, one of the things we have is an Operational Leadership Academy. That participation has grown by 52% this year. Aspiring Principal Academy has grown by 158%. Assistant Principal Induction by 33%, and Preparing New Principals by 133%. We've increased opportunities for secretary training and mentorship, and we have 82% of our school-based administrative teams and their secretaries utilizing a SAMS time track to make sure that their work in their schools is focused on what's most important, and that's working with our students in our mission. And so that's where that particular contract ends this year, and we're looking at ways of how to keep that in our task. As far as retention, on the next page, there's a saying in the HR world for the last several years, we don't necessarily have a recruitment problem, we have a retention problem. Mm-hmm. And you can see that by the fact that we've hired 1,500 people in a mere 5 months. So recruiting, we're doing pretty well with getting people to come and wanting to be on board. We really want to find ways to keep our staff with us. One of the best signs that we are making a difference in this area is we've had decreased employee turnover. If you compare last year's semester 1 to this year's semester 1, one of the reasons for this, we can say instructionally, is our new teacher experience. The new teacher experience provides ongoing communication and support to all of our new teachers. It begins with summer training, and this past summer we had 300 of our teachers attend the summer training. We've hired some since then, so they're not all there at the beginning, but throughout the years there's meetings and there's newsletters, and we have mentor teachers who currently our mentor teachers across the district are mentoring more than 750 teachers who are less than 2 years experience in the teaching role. And another strategy that we think has made a difference in retention is we've been providing our administrators and supervisors ideas for recognizing, honoring, celebrating, and elevating the staff. We used to have a platform called Insight, which would give us some feedback on that. We are not using Insight this year. We'll be using a different platform, but what we are doing is state interviews that we're in the process of doing right now to be finished by the end of February. And we're hoping to find some good trends in that of what teachers and instructional and support staff are, what's going to make them stay, what's going to help them, what kind of support do they need, what can we provide them that's going to keep them interested in remaining with us.
Who gets the state interviews?
Every employee in the district is going to be given somebody said, is Dr. Shanoff going to be given one? And I'm like, well, I might speak with Chair Cahoon to sit and talk to him about hanging around for a while.
I got a lot to say.
Go ahead.
But no, starting with Dr. Shanoff, we'll be meeting with his team all the way down through every site, every school, every employee. Our goal is 100%.
Is this a person-to-person interview?
It is.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what we've been working on.
Do you think that will decrease them being candid if they have somebody in front of them asking them questions about their environment?
So there's training that goes with it. This is the
Okay.
third year that we've done state interviews.
Okay.
And the questions are more so, what excites you when you come to work every day?
Okay.
What's going to keep you coming around?
So
What
it's
do you
framed
think about-
positively.
Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
like, tell me about your boss.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Thank you. No, I wasn't trying to be facetious.
No,
It's just that
absolutely.
that's a good
if
question.
you have somebody
Absolutely.
in front of you
Yes.
asking you to give feedback and you're like,
Yes.
what are the implications of this? I understand.
That's a
Thank you.
really good question.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, do you have any questions? Okay.
Are you
Um,
done? Is she done?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
I just want to make sure she was done
Yeah,
with her
yeah,
part.
I didn't want to jump you guys in. Because I think now with strategic plan, it's nice to say, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I think that what you're doing is excellent. But I think that we need some actual metrics and KPIs for each categorical. So for instance, when I looked at the website here, the different jobs, it's like, what is the current vacancy rate at each level? So there's like, in the way that you guys recruit them here, where it says instructional, support staff, administrative. So I think that'd be a good rolling number moving forward to sit there and say, okay, we have 200 vacancies in instructional, we have 0 vacancies in administrative, we have 1 whatever, and that becomes a rolling number. So every time we come back to the board, that's not just the activities that you've done, we can see the results in specific areas.
And
Because
we do have that, and we can provide that. We get a vacancy
yeah,
list
but if we can,
every week.
no, I meant that more for
Yeah.
now for you.
Oh.
We probably have that data,
Yeah.
but it's not in my strategic
Got
plan.
it.
So-
I need
so-
to see it in my strategic plan.
Absolutely, this would be something that we would want to codify in the next strategic plan as a KPI.
Roger. So I'm not saying that we're not tracking it, it's just that
Right.
when we do that. Another thing I noticed too, when I hit the website, 90% of them have ESE. It's almost to that point where I want to see a specific strategy created around recruiting ESE specialists. You know what I mean? Because that becomes like its own subdomain. Because you can sit there and say, okay, I've recruited a bunch of teachers, but you still have, when I see, not me, the website tells me that 90% of my instructionals are all ESE. So maybe what incentivizes or attracts an ESE teacher is different than what a non-ESE. And I don't want to pit employee groups against each other. It's just the statistics are so glaring. It's not even half. I'm telling you right now, when I go through it right now, it's ESE. So we need to find out, what is it, why are they leaving? What is returning for them? What's a bonus for them? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just throwing a bunch of crazy ideas out there. That's what you guys are for. You guys are the experts that get paid more money than I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Well,
the point is, I'm noticing a trend. And so when it becomes a trend, I still want to do everything else that you're doing because it's phenomenal. But I want to see something specifically packaged for recruiting that population or that segment of the teacher instructional.
So, for sure, we are, again, I would say that there are some limitations that are economic, regional, that kind of certification that kind of play into a lot of difficulties that in many cases can steer folks in high need areas to either private providers or other states where the requirements may be a little bit easier. I've spoken with teachers in the district, even just as late as late last week, where I was having a conversation with a teacher during a fire drill. We were already outside. And she was kind of going through some of the hoops that she has to jump through as a new ESC teacher. And what that means in the state, you can't just be certified in ESE. You have to be certified also in ESOL. You have to be certified in a subject area. You have to have the reading endorsement. There are so many qualifying factors that go into recruiting ESE teachers that the pool is just very shallow. And so the conditions for really being able to meet a metric around a specific subject area is very difficult without benchmarking it against other districts in the state. So that might be one where you want to benchmark it against other districts in the state.
And it may be just, we don't have the tools. Let's just say, for instance, let's just say when we do that campaign and we find out that every single person says no, the state has a ridiculous requirement, just going with that scenario, then that needs to become part of our legislative plank.
Yeah.
I'm going to Tallahassee tomorrow, I can go to the legislative plank with data, not just, oh, it's tough for ESC teachers. No, I can say, hey, look, for the past 5 years,
Yeah.
I'm 90% vacancy rate only in ESC.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to be more professional, Dr. Shanoff. I want to hit people in the head with data and be like, look, this is what it is. Either you're going to help me solve the problem or you're not going to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
But I have to have exhausted all other means before I have that
sure.
aggressive of demeanor with the
Totally
senator.
agree.
Because the senator can hit me back and go, well, did you try this? Did you try that? Did you even measure it? I don't
Right.
even know. But make me a stronger school board member and I'll hit the head of the senator. But we have to track it and know exactly why people are not entering the field of ESE.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
And the last thing is, how do you really measure retention? I know we can sit there and say, we could look at the number of resignations, but sometimes I'm a realistic person too. I understand that sometimes people have a spouse and they move out of state. So you can't really say, we're not doing anything right in that scenario, or sometimes it may take like maternity leave. So moving forward, when we create the new strategic plan, how do we measure employee
Yeah.
turnover to be realistic?
I think that's a really good point, because there are definitely some clear cut metrics that you can use around retention that you can kind of pull from other metadata sources. But I think what you're getting at is, are we creating conditions by which employees want to stay? And maybe that becomes something that we really want to pull out of, say, stay interview data, or some other means. But certainly that's something that, yeah, I think that we would want to be able to capture. Thank you.
That's it.
Yes.
Just something to consider when we create the new
Yeah,
strategic
it's-
plan. Because sometimes the data could be kind of confusing. If we just look at resignations, we need to discount those that have a spouse that left. You know what I mean? Because, I can't really hold anybody accountable for something that's beyond their control.
No doubt. Yeah. For sure. Good. Thank you, Goal 2.
I do think the ESC discussion needs to be problematic.
That's a good one, yeah.
Next year.
For sure.
Well, and the certification was on, that is part of the SSBA platform this year is, but I think focusing on ESC needs to be a greater focus, so.
So, Goal 3. Wow.
Are you still on vacation?
I know, right? It just came back from where?
You
might-
Thailand this time?
What,
or
you're going on
Laos?
vacation again? No, I'm here.
Actually, Sarah Graber isn't here. You're just.
Oh,
reviewing the hologram of Sarah Graber.
Is that a flower stuck in your ear?
She is climbing Mount Everest as we speak.
In my mind.
Hologram powered by AI.
That's right, exactly. I wanna welcome Sarah Graber, our Chief Financial Officer, and Pete Thorne, our Chief Information Officer, to discuss Goal 3.
So goal 3 is fiscal responsibility. Our goal statement is to utilize all district resources efficiently to enhance the learning environment for successful future-ready graduates and ensure financial sustainability. And we have goal 3 split into 2 sections. So the first part is long-term financial sustainability. And the first biggie under this goal has to do with the one-time infusion of all the federal grant money after COVID, with the CARES Act and then ESSER and ARC. So significant amount of dollars flowing into the district over the last couple of years that will all be coming to an end. But as you all know, we've had a very robust plan, and so some of the larger strategies that we've implemented were enhanced summer school programs, all the additional tutoring. We offered extra hour of PLC to our schools. Kindergarten and third grade readiness we've enhanced, along with high school credit recovery courses, and then of course our one-to-one program, which we were able to move towards due to all of these additional dollars. And Pete and his team have a very robust plan for that, which from the beginning we focused on how are we going to sustain that long term. And so we have our plans within capital funding to ensure that we're able to sustain that on an ongoing basis, as well as operational funding for the staffing that's going to be necessary to continue.
Specifically the refresh of devices that will be coming. So just
Can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
And it's not on the list, I looked at it. Remember we talked about laptops that were breaking? We made a decision at the time, do we pay for insurance or do we do like, how did it do? I know we made a choice, but you never really know if it was a successful choice or not.
So we did use Worth Avenue for the first year of our one-to-one program to do warranty repair. However, the cost of that, which was well over $1 million for that year, was far greater than what we would have used to repair what was actually damaged. So the cost did not make sense. So we brought that repair back in-house, and there's 3 ways it's repaired. We do it in-house. We use Apple because we did keep the warranty for the Apple devices because iPads do get damaged pretty easily. And then thirdly, we use for any warranty work that was ongoing that still continued past that year, we use a Quantum Computer, which is a vendor that we use. So there's 3 avenues for repair right now.
So you're saying the initial purchase warranty, especially if it's Apple, when you buy it, they ask you, do you want a warranty? You just get the initial one. You just don't have an extended coverage on top of it.
We did that first year, we had to extend it, but it cost way more than it would have if we had repaired it ourselves. But we didn't really have a baseline to compare it to, so that was experiential learning on our part.
I understand, that's what I'm.
Yeah. And talking to other districts too to see.
So we're better off just buying it our own. Now, do we prepay? Have we looked at the data of like common things that have broken? Like say for instance, they've
It's
broken a bunch of screens. I was
It's
gonna say
always
screens.
Yeah.
Do we try to like pre-buy like a certain stock and that
We
we
have
can
a-
save on like, what do you call it, buying by bulk and stuff like
Sure,
that?
so we do have a supply of screens, especially for the iPads when those get replaced. If those are out of warranty, we will replace those ourselves. So we do have screens for that, but we don't pre-buy anything, and we really couldn't at that time because that first year and second year, Dell parts were taking 9 months to come in, so we couldn't really pre-buy anything. It actually was more effective just to replace the device at that time because Dell was selling units, and we were strictly Dell at that time. We have now shifted, sorry Sarah, I'm kind of, so we've now shifted from just one vendor or one manufacturer, which was Dell. Now we have 3. We have Hewlett-Packard, we have Dell, and we have Lenovo, which really is the most cost-effective device right now for us. So almost every device we purchase right now is a Lenovo for students because they last pretty well. So they do a good job. And we have cases for them too and stuff.
Thank you.
That's all part of the purchase price.
So aside from just putting technology in students' hands, obviously the ultimate goal is student learning. And so we have implemented new curriculum programs, which we've tried. Our REA department has done performance evaluations on several of them, which we're using to make those decisions about what we continue, what we sunset, and we will continue to go through that effort over this next budget cycle and this next year to figure out what's really worth continuing to invest in and where we're getting the most bang for our buck as far as student achievement. So that's really the big next step as far as we phase out the ESSER and ARP dollars and come up to that funding cliff, is looking at what are we no longer going to have funding for, but more importantly, what is worth continuing and what else maybe do we stop doing so that we can really prioritize the dollars that we are going to have. And in addition to the programs, looking at the people in that same respect. So, and not specific people, but positions. So, next, talking about salaries and compensation. As you all know, we were one of the first districts to settle with all of our unions this year and meet that October 1st deadline for the state. So thank you all for your support in that. And we had gone into the year with the idea of trying to address compression. We were able to do that to some extent by doing the COLA and the supplement in terms of a percentage. So that did help a little bit with a percentage versus a flat amount. But we are, still looking at strategies to be able to address compression to a greater extent, and working with some legislative asks as well to see what statutory language we may be able to get changed that's preventing us from really being able to address those teachers who have been here longer and have the longevity.
That came up last week with the SBA, so they gave us an update saying that they are starting to maybe understand a little more at the state level that there is a compression issue, so I'm hopeful that maybe
and we
we're
identified,
going to start to get somewhere with that.
And last year, you may remember, we identified a specific statute that prevented us from being able to do the COLA that we had originally wanted to do for the teachers. So we had to kind of change the terminology of how we handled that, but just continuing to try and work through some of those. Some of those
Because I'm curious now on that point. Like, she threw me off, but that was a good point.
Yeah.
Statewide, remember that legislation that we have to meet the minimum wage, or was it the 50,000 on the floor?
15.
How are the other counties doing it? Because I know we met it a while ago. Because I guess once everybody meets that floor, instead of keep increasing the floor, can this Tallahassee then dedicate compression? And I mean, it's kind of use the same pot of money, but for.
They can put whatever rules they want to around the money that they provide.
But I'm just curious though, how many people, because we've met that standard already, right?
So it was for instructional, it was the minimum of 47.5, which I don't believe all 67 districts have met, although I could be wrong on that. The $15 minimum wage, I'm not sure, yeah, but that was like a 4-year phase in. But then we were required to do that, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's at the $15, but I'm not sure if everybody's at the 47.5 for instructional yet.
Okay.
The next thing is our health plan, and so we made some changes to that this year. The big thing there is just continuing to add value to what our employees are receiving without costs having to continue to go up and up and up. So controlling cost. But we did add that third plan design option this year, back in October for this plan year, that now offers all of our employees an additional zero premium for individuals with a focus on utilizing the health center first. So that is in play, as well as we made a significant increase in our board contribution during this plan year. So some changes there. And then last but not least, our small business and veteran program is off and running. Now we had a very successful town hall and vendor opportunity fair over the summer. That was really good. Our participation goals have been put in place. We are now asking for a 10% small business or veteran requirement as we roll out solicitations for construction manager, architect engineers, our MEP vendors. So that's all still close to the beginning phase of rolling out this program, but definitely off and running. And we made a couple little tweaks to our policy recently to allow for some more flexibility there as well. So all going good. We've got those goals built into our bids as well. And I think the latest numbers are we have spent over $5 million with small business and veteran, which is low, but as we get these major projects underway, we'll start to see those numbers really take off.
All right, second piece of our goal is digital transformation, specifically modernization of a number of areas. So the first part is Kronos. So Kronos is our district timekeeping system, and this year we were concentrating on phase 2 of that. Actually, at the beginning of the year was phase 2 of that initiative, and we were able to transform transportation into fully paperless timekeeping for all the drivers. So that was a huge initiative, and the team did a great job. And it was a long time coming to get that done, but we got everyone on the same page, and through good project management and business process analysis, we got that done. Just a few little facts about that. Every week, so we transitioned 425 employees to electronic timekeeping. Every week, we've eliminated almost 3,000 sheets of paper, which translates into over 6 reams of paper. So we're saving all of that, doing just electronic timekeeping, which also reduces the number of records we have to store, because all that stuff has to be stored for a certain amount of time in the warehouse. So all that's being done. So very excited for the team getting that done. The next step is a phase 3 of this project, where we're going to be placing more additional Kronos clocks in the schools, so that the remaining professional support staff at the schools also will be moved to electronic timekeeping. And our goal for that is by the end of the year to get that accomplished going into the next year. So that's part of our paperless initiative. The next has to do with security. I won't go into it too much, but we are doing multi-factor authentication, actually trusted multi-factor authentication right now in the district. And that's been done for all of our VPN access as well as our Office 365 access. So that was a huge accomplishment getting that done. And by the end of the year, we'll have 100% participation in that. Probably the one that you guys are most interested in has to do with the ERP. We did engage with our vendor, Plant Moran, who's helping us with the gap analysis, and that's underway. Actually, our kickoff is this Friday for that initiative. Formal kickoff. We've actually been working on it behind the scenes, but that actual official kickoff will occur and will involve more than somewhere between 40 and 50 stakeholders in that process. And we're moving along on that. We're sitting right now at about 54% of our mapping has been completed, mostly in the payroll area. That's almost fully mapped right now. Because obviously that's going to be one of the most difficult areas to transition once we go to a new ERP system. So this is a very methodical, measured and structured process that we're going through right now. The vendor is going to help us map the remaining, what we call the current state of our systems, what we do actually right now. We're going to look for efficiencies that we can build into our current ERP system, which is terms in the short term, pardon the pun. And then we're going to look at building our future state. What are the best practices that we want to do in the future? So that's kind of the plan right now. And then Plant Moran is going to help us write the RFP for when we actually select a vendor. So we're doing that. And then our software approval committee, we went back and looked at software titles that were more than 5 years old. Because we know that vendors in 5 years can change a lot of stuff, especially where data might be stored and things of that nature that could affect FERPA. So we've gone back and we have looked at those, and we've gone through and reapproved those software titles. And it ties into the academic ROI initiative also that we're doing. That was mentioned in goal one, in the first part of the goal. Thank you.
I have a couple. But I'd like to defer to ladies first.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. first of all, I wanna say I appreciate you, Dr. Shanoff and staff, for taking your time with the business process mapping, hiring people, because I've heard horror story after horror story of running through an
So have I.
ERP system too fast and just falling into place, you know? So I'd rather, you know, because I know people say 54%, I wanna wait till I'm 100% completed before we talk about their RFP. I mean, the good thing is terms is still around, it's still a dinosaur, but it still works.
It works.
You know,
Yeah.
but I do know that we need to go evolve it. I understand that completely. But I just wanna tell you guys, you know, I know luckily we're not like a professional football team that needs to hire a head coach and win right away, you know, but with the ERP system, I cannot tell you, it is critical that we are 100% completed. We understand the needs of the district, what it is that we're trying to do, and then we sit there and go, okay, what's the build out gonna look like? So,
One thing we're going to do in the middle of the process, when we're finished with the current state mapping, we're gonna do an RFI and bring in vendors to show us the possibilities that exist.
correct.
So we're hoping we're gonna get some postmodern ERP vendors in here to show us what there is, which is gonna spark our imaginations to determine what those best practices and what the future state might look
But
like.
it's better saying, hey, this is what we kind of would like it to do, and then they can kind of tell us, rather than saying, okay, I have no idea, then they just try to sell us a bill of goods.
Sure. We just wanna see what's out there, so.
As far as,
Postmodern.
Postmodern ERP.
I love I love how you have brought together art and ERP.
Okay.
now,
Like that?
the student
I knew you
device,
would like it.
because I know when we didn't always have one-to-one when I was on the board before, and that was a big initiative. I just want to let you know that even if it's a significant investment, I visited a lot of classrooms, and they really do use that device. And not only do they use it, but some teachers a little bit more than others, but they scaffold. I mean, I've gone to a classroom where little Johnny in the back is behind, and they're still watching a video to kind of get there, and the teacher still has command and control of the class, and some of them are a little bit more advanced. So the devices allow that opportunity to scaffold the instructional material as well.
Mr. Thorne and I have had conversations about looking at other districts and what other districts are looking to do, knowing that they too are out of ESSER funds that they would be using to buy these devices. So what are the potential what's the potential feasibility of doing something creative with the devices, a refresh plan, developing all of that that other districts are looking to employ. This is one of those where you kind of want to reach out and figure out what surrounding districts are doing, knowing that they're going through essentially the same funding cliff with the ESSER money running out. We think that we have some ideas that we're going to run past our vendor to see what's available. But at the end of the day, you're exactly right. You walk into the classrooms, the kids are very engaged on their devices, and it doesn't matter how young you go. You can go into a kindergarten class and see the kids utilizing their devices with the same level of automaticity that you see in a high school, which is really, really cool to see, especially when they're able to get on very quickly and be able to do what they need to do. So, but that's something that we are very, very aware of, and we're engaging in that process for the summer right now with our vendor.
And two other quick items. One of them is just out of curiosity thing. When you convert to electronic timekeeping, because that was a big issue, I'm curious to see if there's any difference in wage payments. Because I'm pretty sure what people wrote down what they worked, and when the electronic card says this is what they worked, this is more of an internal audit function. You know, every place I've ever worked, and I can't believe Osceola County is unique. You know, what people write down and what they actually do isn't always the same. So I'm just curious to see, now that we've streamlined electronic, check-in and check-outs, what the actual wage payment has been. If it's exactly the same, I'm shocked.
So
Or I'm curious to look at
There were
that
some
deeper.
rounding issues, but
no, our procedure, it's a good question, and it's a good thing
Internal audit.
it's a good thing
Checks
to
and
look at,
balances.
right?
I'm a board member. I don't work
but
here every day.
Our timekeeping procedures that we rolled out, everyone is still required to work their scheduled hours, and if they're gonna work overtime, it's required to be approved in advance. So if there's a lot of other fuzzy stuff going on, that's a management issue that needs to be addressed at the department level. But for the most part, I mean, everybody's still held to the same requirements of their schedule and the same policies around their work and their time.
I guess we'll talk about that offline.
I think you're tacitly endorsing a cashless system maybe moving forward, where we don't even collect cash, that we can do all of our accounting via electronic.
Let's not violate
As long as
FLSA rules.
PCI compliant.
And then the last question is kind of safety and security related too. So I don't know if it's more there. Are we gonna go into electronic keys for every? So we're gonna create like instead of the actual physical keys to enter in buildings, are we gonna start getting into electronic key systems? Is that gonna be part of our information system?
I would defer that to Lester and Rusty. So that's more of a security. Although there is overlap, like we overlap with cameras and some other things. We feed data to those systems, like the Kava locks and things like that. But we,
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know which competency that was. Okay.
and back to your last comment about the timekeeping, it's more precise right now because we actually feed data from Synovia, which is our transportation system. So every time they log into the bus, we capture it. We capture when they log in, and log out, and feed it into Kronos. So it's very precise, very precise.
Thank you.
All right, we're good?
We're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Goal 4, this, I know you're all very disappointed. This is not Dana Schaefer. So,
It's the teacher that supports
We're only
that.
disappointed because we're not
So-
on the cruise like she is.
maybe it's Dana having her Benjamin Buttons moment. And Dr. Penaloza, who is our assistant superintendent for Charter and Choice. So I'm going to turn it over to Janae and Listenia to get us started on Goal 4.
Good afternoon, Board. We have 3 areas of focus in Goal 4, with the first one being to build advocacy, engagement, empowerment, and capacity of all stakeholders in support of successful, future-ready graduates. We've done that by expanding and enhancing two-way outreach to stakeholders. In other words, we've been intentional in designing new opportunities for us to listen and learn instead of only talking to our audiences. Dr. Shanoff kicked this off with his 100-day plan with 10 superintendent meet and treats at various high schools in the fall, with both employees and parents and community members to identify things that were going well in the district, what areas could be improved, and how the district could best enhance communication efforts. This was done via thought exchange, which allowed participants to not only share their own thoughts, but also rate the thoughts of others in order to help scale the conversation. Now, we have posted all of the responses received on Dr. Shanoff's website at www.osceolaschools.net, and I'll go through some of the top things from each stakeholder group. So for question 1, as far as what the school district is doing well, our employees really appreciated the salary increase that we did this school year. They also liked the implementation of the cell phone policy so that there were less distractions in the classroom. They also liked utilizing numerous platforms to provide excellent communication to our stakeholders, such as Remind and Let's Talk. They liked how we nurture a strong sense of community centered around schools, partnership, and engagement. They really liked Dr. Shanoff's Shanoff Shadows series, so that he's getting out in the schools and being visible. They also liked the continued laser focus on the importance of work and attendance, and of course, ensuring that our students are always put first. In turn, the parents, students, and community said they appreciate ensuring the safety and security of students in the school. They like the diverse community that our schools support, the employing of high-quality teachers, staff, and administrators who care, providing strong communication and community outreach. Osceola Prosper was a big win for us as well, thanks to the county. They like the innovative programs and acceleration opportunities available to students across all of our schools, and how we keep students on track for graduation and future success. When it comes to where the school district could improve, our employees did say making veteran teachers feel appreciated and valued was a huge concern, as well as addressing salary compression for all employees. and continuing to increase pay for employees. They also wanted to improve employee health insurance options and plans and support teachers and staff when dealing with extreme student behaviors. And on the other hand, parents, students, and community said the following: increasing educator salaries, prioritizing recruitment and retention for our teachers, improving how schools handle our student behavior and bullying, helping parents understand and find ways to become involved in their children's education. Then for question 3, when it comes to what is one idea on how the school district could better communicate with them, our employees said coordinating efforts between departments before communication is sent out, providing rationale behind decisions, visiting campuses to meet with employees, providing more clear expectations and communicating directly to the staff. And then our stakeholders in the community said providing more opportunities for teachers and parents to meet face to face to discuss student progress, hosting question and answer sessions for parents, providing regular communication from teachers to parents, and sending out emails from schools to students and parents. Some of our other outreach efforts have included Dr. Shanoff's community roundtables, which he does twice monthly. So far, he's visited with both the faith-based groups and the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce, and later this month he will be meeting with the Osceola Association of Realtors. When comparing the first 2 9-week period in the 2022-2023 and 2023-2024 school year, Let's Talk dialogues have shown an increase in the district's customer service score and a decrease in negative experience. An opportunity to meet the expectation, or an area where we can improve, is to meet the expectation in that 24-hour response we were lacking during the first semester of this year. Prior to Dr. Shanoff reaching his 100 days, he did visit every single school in our district, which was a huge task for him, to have one-on-one conversations, and he keeps that line of communication open to our principals and our assistant principals. Dr. Shanoff has also formed a student advisory group comprised of 2 representatives from each high school who are working together on student-led initiatives to improve school culture and promote inclusiveness. We've also had a district ELL parent leadership council, which addresses parent and guardian questions and concerns about our ESOL programs at every single school and gives the multicultural education department input and feedback on the district ELL plan, keeps parents and ELL students informed on the latest policies and issues affecting them, and allows school-based representation at meetings. A district ESC advisory committee and safety and security task force have met to provide district leaders and the school board with information, feedback, and suggestions. The second focus area that we focus on under community involvement is building awareness and capacity of parents and students when it comes to our expectations. The Osceola BEST campaign has expanded this school year to include BEST, which stands for Be in Attendance, Effort Towards Learning, Show Respect to All, and Take the Time to Do the Right Thing. In other words, see something or say something. We've had new web and social media banners. We did a video with Dr. Shanoff in September for Attendance Awareness Month. We also did a podcast for that as well. We've had social media videos from school principals all across the district kind of sharing what BEST means to them and how their students can follow those procedures. We've had informational materials sent out at the Choice Fair and multicultural welcome back events. All of our schools have a Osceola BEST poster. We've had parent contact and mail outreach for students with excessive absences through student services. We've had attendance and PBIS community outreach materials included in the RTC grant through student services, and text and mail communication regarding attendance to parents via both Blackboard and Everyday Labs. Dr. Shanoff has also done a weekly video called Marking Excellence to the community. Those are posted every Monday and sent out via Remind. We also do one Marking Excellence podcast with Dr. Shanoff every month where we kind of explore a topic more in depth. Every Monday, he also sends out a Monday 5 employee newsletter. We have the district roundup blogs, which are posted bi-monthly. Remind messaging is utilized pretty much every day, both at the district level and school level, to send out important information to parents. We also have employee job shadowing reflections from Dr. Shanoff, which are posted monthly to the roundup blog and to the podcast. And the district has held an ESOL Parents Welcome Back event at Kissimmee Elementary in August, with various sessions offered to educate our families. The Empowered Family Institute, hosted by the Multicultural Department in September, also educated families on how to work with schools to support their academic success. The Multicultural Education Department has a bilingual community liaison and parent hotline that is open every day. We're open to help assist parents. We also have some great things to celebrate with the special programs community outreach initiatives from July through December of last year. The Parent Advisory Committee had 62 participants in September. The CFHLA 2023 Hospitality Shoe Gala gathered 168 pairs of donated shoes for our Fit Kids. Their CARES event in April also generated 20,336 individual items collected for our students to use in the classroom. That nearly tripled in October after back to school kicked off for items for our students as well. We had the STEAM nights last semester that had hundreds of participants at each school it attended, and they're kicking that off again this semester with the STEAM mobile bus. We had the Rise Up, which stands for Read, Interact, Socialize, and Engage program on the Read bus at different libraries. That's geared toward 3 and 4-year-olds. And then the Smart Bus with 50 students attending those 2 opportunities weekly on, I believe, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then for our Fit Transition supply distribution, we had 884 backpacks and uniforms collected. And the third focus area in Goal 4 is to implement additional unique and specialized attractor programs by bridging elementary and middle school into high school academic pathways, leading to high-wage, high-demand careers. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Penaloza to focus on that area.
Okay, thank you. So as a choice district, we're actively seeking opportunities to build our stakeholders' understanding of what school choice is and the different educational options available in all of our schools between K-12. Our goal is really to empower and educate students and make families in making meaningful decisions regarding where their child will receive their primary and secondary education. A few of those key metrics that we use to measure this initiative are there was an increase in possible new FTE from 1251 in October of 2022 to 1671 in October of 2023. Also, our district choice fair, which is our big event in the fall, yielded 5,098 participants compared to the year prior, which was only 3,700.
Oh, it was a monster.
Wow.
It
I
was
remember
a
that.
monster, yes.
It was great. And opening night for Osceola.
Maybe we sold some extra tickets for them.
I think we may have. And in addition, we have been working with 14 of our elementary schools and 9 middle schools who are finalizing purchases to ensure that they have full implementation of the specialized programs that they are offering to their students. And then the last initiative that we've done is that we have wrapped 4 of our courier vehicles with a QR code that links straight to our school district, specifically choice, and then based on what we want the community to learn from during that time, we link it to that specific webpage. So there are 4 courier vehicles. They were strategically selected versus on where they visit in the district. So we're hoping that in the near future we can add the number of vehicles that are wrapped to further increase our community's awareness.
Questions? You wanna go first? Cause I feel like
No, you
you
got it.
haven't.
No, go ahead, that's all
I
right.
wanna be a gentle lady.
I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say no matter what, so.
Okay, so if we can just focus on the third action item here, it says we have a possible increase of FT. What do you mean by that?
So possible increases based on our choice applications coming in.
Got it.
So if we are serving that student currently, then they don't create a new parent account. But when they create a new parent account, then that gives us the heads up that they are either coming from a charter school, coming from a private school, they may be living out of state, considering one of our schools. So that the creation of that new account triggers us to know that that student is currently not with us.
Okay, and that's possible increase for the upcoming
For
school
the,
year?
so we are always working a year
Okay.
behind,
Got
so
it.
we are setting
Years.
up for the 24-25 enrollments.
So this shows that there is more interest.
Interest,
Got it,
yes.
perfect, thank you. Okay, so question, I don't know if you can answer this or I'm sure somebody else here can. Has there been a decrease in enrollment since last year? And I'm specifically asking because we have the new voucher system. Like how did that affect our enrollment?
Off the top of my head, I do know that there was an enrollment across the board between district and charter schools, but I would be more than happy to pull those numbers and send them to each of you directly.
Curious to know if there's a decrease, what the percentage is.
Okay.
And the second thing I would like to know is, do we keep in touch with the students who left Osceola to go to, not within our district choice, but charter school, private school, specifically the ones who decided to take advantage of the voucher program to see like how their experience is?
So we do have a staff member allocated in my office that is, her role is to reach out to private school students to really check in on an annual basis on how their experience is going, and then to offer information if the parent chooses to receive it. Regarding the vouchers, it's really hard for us to follow those students because the state has kind of pulled all of that data and information that sits in our system. So if years past, we would process those applications, but now we really don't have any way to track those students and or gather their information. The only thing that we can really track is if we go through the Florida Department of Education, there is a section that indicates how many private school students are enrolled, but they're not specific to names or it would really be more to a zip code.
Got it.
Where we can also maybe target with mailers or additional intentional marketing, but it's really limited to a zip code versus household.
Curious to know, this is for later because you just don't have the data, if we can track next school year how many students left the district based on these new vouchers, how many of them came back. It'll be interesting to know like why they chose to come back to the district.
Because, man, that was excellent. I wish there was a way
I
for
went
us to
to
know.
business school.
Because not only that, but even like by school too. Let's
Yeah,
just
that's
say
actually
vouchers are
important.
available. And all of a sudden they're coming out of XY, I don't even
Yeah.
name a school for public record purposes, but
Yeah.
XYZ school just has a mass exodus for vouchers, then that says something too, that if it's unequal distribution
Yeah.
amongst the schools.
That's a
No
good-
doubt
that's a
about
good
it.
point.
I think that's a really good point and definitely something we would want to look at tracking for sure.
Yeah, and if we don't have that ability, maybe we could talk to the state. Again, that's
We do.
something I talked about the legislature. Can they tell us which students win, they love competition. We love to compete to get them back too,
Right.
but we also want to know why they left.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions?
I just want to make one statement. I think I think our teams do a great job, and it's not just these two teams, Choice and Community Relations, Special Programs. I think does a great job. I think we do it across the board in highlighting our district to the community. Like I think we've gotten really good about that and making it in a professional, attractive way, so that people can really see what we have to offer. You know, being with other board members last week at FSBA in Tallahassee, and you talk to them about the different things they're doing in their districts, and we're just always ahead of the game, I think, when it comes to a lot of these things. I even saw a board member post on her social media attending their Choice fair. It was nothing compared to what we do here, you know? So the value that we show within our schools and the programs, I just appreciate that because I think it helps the community see what we have to offer our students. So I just wanted to say that.
I also want to give kudos where they're there. My Lord, because again, I'm a father of a student in the district. You talk about that weather update, I get text messages, I get phone calls, I saw the social media post. I'm like, there's always going to be somebody that didn't get something somewhere. You know what I mean? I get that. You know, no organization is perfect. But my Lord, are we hitting it out the park? I tell you what, I cannot, and again, I'm telling you as not as a board member, as a father, and I get that information, and it comes pretty quickly, you know what I mean? And I knew it ahead of time because I am a board member, but I still get the phone call anyway, and I'm like, oh, I hear it, and so it's nice to know. But it's multiple. You just don't rely on the robocall. I get the text message. I get the robocall. If I'm scrolling on Facebook and I don't see it, so you guys are hitting different channels to inform parents, and I think you're doing an excellent job. So keep that up. A cutesy thing that I thought of, I kind of like the Shin Off Shadows where he visits people. And one thing I thought about, it's almost like what was that TV show called, like the Undercover Boss or something like that? I thought it'd be neat if the cabinet members can do that too, once a month. All of a sudden Renee Clayton shadows, you know what I mean? So I think, because sometimes, she's been a CFO forever. Has she even looked at what payroll clerks do? One day shadow a payroll clerk for like half a day for once a month, you know what I mean?
CFO Renee.
No, I'm not saying that she's not,
I know.
but you know what I mean? But I just think sometimes there's value, because times progress. I mean, when you reach that level of success in your life, sometimes you forget what it means to be a clerk and some of those issues. That's the reason why you shadow, to get that insight. I think the cabinet members, once a month, maybe like a half a day, can shadow different components of their departments.
Yeah, so thank you for actually raising that, because it's gonna allow me to say a couple things. Number one, the folks on the business side of the house who don't necessarily have the K-12 instructional background, they've gone on learning walks with our teaching and learning teams, and they continue to go on those walks. That is something that is unique to this district. You don't see business chiefs ever doing that. But I'll tell you what, seeing Dave Sharma at Lakeview Elementary School doing a learning walk is, I don't think I've ever seen Dave happier, quite honestly. But the other piece is that when we look at how we're going to be doing our outreach to our stakeholders in the spring, there's definitely power in doing kind of the meet and treat events, right? Where I think we can get a little bit more granular in the conversations that we have with our stakeholder groups is really allowing and empowering the members of the cabinet to go out and begin to develop those relationships as well. And then they can come back, and together we can really share kind of that feedback. You go up to Tallahassee and you talk to legislators. The legislators are interested in very compelling stories. And for us, it's important for our cabinet level, because we do work at the district level, to never forget what that compelling story actually means. Because once upon a time, at least those on the teaching and learning side, we were building level principals. So we know what that compelling story really means and the power of that. And that really needs to inform our work when we're sitting around the table making decisions about the school district, because it's not just professional, it's personal. And we've got to be able to take that as part of what we do. So yeah, I appreciate the feedback. I think that undercover boss would suit many of them very, very well.
I don't think they can go undercover. I don't think they can go undercover.
And then the last thing is, we're talking about matrix for community engagement, because these all sound like good things, but I'm starting to become more of a number cruncher now. I think it would be awesome in the future to sit there and say, okay, what is the number of donors that we have in the district? What is the total contribution amount? You talk about community engagement. If you're engaging people, they want to donate more money or time. What are the total number of volunteer hours? How many volunteers have we gotten? You know what I mean? So it's no longer just, okay, communication side, we got that done a lot. But now let's convert those communities into the schools. Number of volunteer hours, hours worked, donors, number of internships corporations are offering. You know what I mean? I'm just giving you a whole bunch of crazy ideas, you know what I mean? You guys can
I think
sit there
those are
and measure
great
them out.
KPIs that we could build out for community engagement. Absolutely. So those are great ideas.
And we do have those numbers. I don't have them on the top of my head, but Robin Davis from our Oasis
Yeah,
department
we collect
does
them, but I
know.
just thought it'd be cool to put them as a benchmark and say, well, let's try to beat it. You know what I mean? Like every year, you always have like a goal to say, okay, we have $10 million in donations. Next year it's 11 million. Next year it's whatever. And it's just something.
How about volunteers, Paulin?
Yeah.
All
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Goal 4. Last, certainly not least, Goal 5, safety and security.
I have to stretch my back a little bit.
We did that once, can we do that again? Like just as a, that should just be the standard.
So, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our goal leads for Goal 5, Dr. Allen, Mr. Noble, Dr. McMahon, Angie Purdue, to go ahead and go through our Goal 5 strategies and where we are currently.
All right, so goal 5 is safety and security. So our goal statement is to improve school climate through positive behavior, enhance mental health support, and life skills development needed for future-ready graduates. So we've broken this down into a few areas: attendance support, mental health support, threat management and crisis intervention, and discipline support. So looking at attendance, we always look at our district-wide average for attendance and our average daily attendance rate. So we're currently at 92% from August through December. It's unchanged from the same time last year, but we are doing things to try to improve that rate. We use Everyday Labs, which is really a text and mail support system to kind of give nudges to parents to say, bring your child to school, kind of improve. Do you know your child's been out this many days? So try to improve attendance on that side. And then we're also utilizing school, parent, and community outreach initiatives and programs to increase attendance, but then also provide awareness in other areas. On the mental health support side, so the percentage of required staff trained in the youth mental health first aid training is currently at 75%. The state requirement is 80%, and we have until June 30th to meet that. This year, we've had 616 mental health referrals submitted, and 558 students received mental health and counseling services. So that's 90.6% of those students, and it's an increase of 19% due to our district mental health therapists. So we are proud of that. In our threat management, we have 100% of our district and school-based threat management team members trained in the Florida model, so that is great. And then in crisis intervention, 100% of our student services crisis team staff members have been trained in acute crisis response, and they've responded to 6 requests for district crisis support this year. When we go over to...
Can I ask a real quick question? For the mental health one, what causes someone to not receive the support? Just parent opt-out?
Question.
Certainly parent opt-out. Sometimes families move or situations change. Parent gets insurance and decides to pursue mental health with insurance,
Okay.
but many times it is a parent who started the process and then didn't continue.
Okay. Thank you.
So moving on to discipline support. So we're tracking some of our bigger offenses, and one is our drug referrals. So they're down by 4%, and the percentage of students to choose to attend our AWARE program is up from 38% to 97%. So that is huge. And then the completion rate for the program is 82%. The percentage of students who are actually receiving their second drug-related offense is down from 15% to 0%. So the program's really working. Our CESA referrals, those referrals that we do report to the state, are down 14% overall. Our number of students with 5 or more referrals are down by 58%. And a number of students recommended for expulsion is down 30%. So we really feel like these programs are working. Historically, disruptions on campus, drug sale and possession, distribution, and sexual harassment incidents often stem from the use of cell phone. And we implemented our new cell phone use policy this year. And so we feel like our referrals for those cell phone violations have gone up, but that's because we're really enforcing it. But then we also believe that these specific CESA incidents have decreased as a result of that policy, and so we're going to continue to track that data and kind of look at the correlations as we move forward.
Last week when we met with Senator Burgess, we shared with him, because he was the one who spearheaded the new change last year. And so we shared that some of our schools have implemented it prior to the change, and so we had some good data if they were looking forward to it. And we also shared with them that we kind of went extreme when it came to, and he loved the fact that not during lunch, not during transition time. So I don't know if there will be a possibility that their office reaches out but we are Terry.
I told him
we were just gonna
give
send
him-
it?
Yeah, we
Okay.
just told him we were gonna do it, so, yeah. We have a data
It's-
request.
I
But he was
think,
really happy to hear that, we said that the feedback has been, and we shared about the students that came and spoke
Yeah.
very eloquently
they did.
in opposition of exactly what our plan was. But we shared with how well it's been
The
implemented and received.
I spent a lot of time in classrooms, and seeing the level of engagement in classrooms has increased has been very gratifying to see. The other thing, when I job shadowed the cafeteria staff at Harmony High School, and I worked the line faces out to the cafeteria. Our lunches are very loud right now, and the reason why the lunches are very loud right now is because the kids are actually talking to each other at lunch. It used to be a library, basically, where the kids were just interacting with their phones at lunch. I think that they're finding that there is a very positive outlet in having that social communication that's live and in person. And there's a lot of pressure that's taken off of not having to check their phone because nobody else is able to check their phone either. And parents have been very, very helpful and supportive around this endeavor. And I give our school administrators a lot of credit for doing this with dignity for the students, because there are crisis points for a lot of our kids, and things where, you know, a parent is trying to get a hold of them on the cell phone. They're really trying to work through a lot of this with the parents, not trying to necessarily hold the kids responsible. And so I've seen good judgment at schools, and which I think has brought about better compliance.
Any questions?
Do you wanna go first?
No.
Okay, do you have a question?
I'm good.
Okay, just going back to the beginning, academic support. I know you have this data, just thinking about what the future looks like and what we wanna focus on as a district, that through line between poor academic performance and high incidence of disciplinary issues and that feedback loop. I'm hoping that y'all have some ideas on how we can focus on those specific students. That's one thing that I know that I talked to Dr. Shanoff about in passing as well. That's it.
My name is
Yes,
Castillo. We actually have some things that we began putting in place this year that we haven't been able to see a whole lot of data from, but
Okay.
we're working on it and hoping next year we'll see a big improvement. We know that kids can't learn if they're not behaving.
Yep.
And a lot of times behaviors are related to academics, but a lot of times other students' behaviors interfere with
Yeah.
other students' academics. This year I requested a K-12 MTSS Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention specialist, and thank you for that. And she is working with our PBIS specialist and bullying specialist to come up with a plan for schools so that we're providing support to schools. My team is now going out to schools. It's something that really hasn't happened before, especially for Tier 2 and Tier 3, because there was no one in that room. Schools need the support. They need to be able to have something at the ready that they can use for these kiddos that are coming in. You know, an upset 5-year-old can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And so if we can provide that support through a couple of things that we're doing with helping teachers with classroom management, we're doing trainings with teachers on it. We've done trainings with paraprofessionals on what PBIS is and how they can support that at the school level, because we need everybody involved in that. So we're really working to go more preventative rather than having consequences and ending up where we know they end up. So there's a little bit of increase in some of the referrals overall. Cell phone violations, that's up 68%. We all know
Sure.
why we're enforcing
Yeah.
that. Insubordination, classroom rules, and a couple of those things are up as well, but we can directly relate that, I believe, to kids are getting written up when they don't follow the cell phone violation. That's the second or third time those things increase. But it shows that our school-based staff are really putting in the effort to control those behaviors that can lead to some of the more serious ones. So we also have a Canvas course that's being put out that is going to be put out to our deans, and those deans will then be able to use it with their school staff so that they have ready-made materials to help with those tier interventions. And we have all been trained through CPI and verbal de-escalation strategies. That's going to be a mandatory course for our deans, and then we're going to be offering it this summer for all of our teachers and staff, including this professional support staff, because often they're on the front lines of dealing with those behaviors instead of de-escalating, they get escalated, and that can interfere with what's going on at the school. So we've got that going on. And then we're working really hard, my behavior team, all three of them I call them, are working really hard on, with the deans, looking at data analysis, where the behaviors are occurring, what kind of behaviors are they, and then having the deans come up with a plan that is individualized for their school so that they can take on some of these things when they're little things before they become the bigger ones that we deal with. So we've got a lot of plans in place. We also recently met with Eckerd Connects. They work currently with New Beginnings. They have a great program there that they do. They're going to be piloting a program at Kissimmee Middle School because, as you know, some of those outside behaviors interfere with our students. So they will be starting it soon, right? They're hiring for it right now. That person will be housed full-time. It's paid for through Eckerd Connects grant monies. Housed full-time on their campus. And that person will be meeting with groups using curriculum too good for drugs and violence, and really having some of the small group interventions that we need for some of our kids who are at the most at risk.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Great updates.
Very quick, as far as attendance, I'm curious to know how many are becoming truant because of co-parenting? Because I'm noticing that when I visit a couple, like mama versus dada, you know, and one principal, and I don't want to call her out, but she was kind of cool. She would put it in the notes, but it's not a separate field. Mom said that it was sick, whatever, because it seems like that was the one that was doing it, or the other way around. So, I mean, I don't want to fully track it, but the point is, I'm just curious to see that, what we can do to see that, because I think a lot of it is some issues with that, not just pure, versus the student not wanting to come to school.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to start to see is a pivot from the state and also from the state's attorney's office, pivoting back towards truancy and monitoring truancy, and child study team meetings, bringing those back, because Osceola County is not alone. School districts across the state are experiencing the same attendance issues.
Right.
So that will bear itself out in the child study team process, particularly because the parents are required to attend as part of the child study team process.
Dr. Shannon, I can also just state that in dealing with truancy before, if you go to truancy court, although you generally have to file on the enrolling parent, if you advise the presiding judge or magistrate that's there of what's going on, they generally release the pleading from one parent and put it on the other parent based on the information that the district provides. So if the district was to provide information to show that it is, and I dealt with this matter very specifically with a family in the past, we were able to say, although this is the enrolling parent, this is the parent that's not getting the child to school, and the pleading was changed.
Correct. So that's the point. We got to kind of find some method to track it, or anyway, I got more things to talk about. I know it's getting late. The threat management, it said 100% compliance, but unfortunately, we use a lot of substitute teachers. Do we have like a quick guide for, threat management for dummies for substitute teachers? You know what I mean? Because like if substitute teacher comes in, they may not be aware of everything that's going on, and we're flowing through a lot of substitutes back and forth. And not for dummies is the word, not for dummies.
Concise.
There's that book that has a series that came out. You understand what I'm saying?
Tonight.
But the point is, substitute teachers are a significant population.
So we're working through that. So yes, first and foremost, it is part of the training that Kelly Services puts their substitutes through. So that is part of what they do. The other component of this is that we're actually working with our school secretaries to have consistent substitute folder resources. So this would include that. So this is something that we're looking to shore up, but it is existing in what we already have Kelly Services do.
Right. Also, we talked about the drug aware program. That's phenomenal, because I found out in Orange County, they don't require the parents to attend, and they just do it online. Here, we force them to physically drive to the location, and they have to bring the parents in there, correct? So when we say those that have completed it, the parent, you talk about community engagement, they both have to do it in order to get the acceptance, right? So if the student shows up and the parent will just drop them off. They have to be there.
Absolutely.
Right.
And they've just expanded that out in the Point Siena area as well. There's a separate place out there, which I think will see improved enrollment even then.
Right, and have we started the Sheriff Jump program?
We have our first classes coming up. They initially said they were gonna take anywhere from 1 to 10. They found out that really just isn't manageable because you've got a lot of staff for one student. So it's taking a little bit to change that mindset with administrators of who they can send. We're really working hard, going through referrals saying, hey, how about this kid? This would be a good candidate for JUMP. So we have our first class coming up, middle school class, and then we have some high schoolers coming up as well. So it's been a little slow implementation, but we haven't given up. We think it's an important program, especially based on the success we see at Park Place and what's going on with that.
So how many students?
WARE program.
How many students will attend?
They had it initially 1 to 10, no more than 10. We have high schoolers on one day, we have middle schoolers on the other. We have not put it down to elementary yet because we're really focusing on those two groups. And it could be for a variety of things. The biggest hurdle that we're looking at is you have to have buy-in from the parents, because much like Park Place, that is why it's successful, is you have to have some buy-in from the parents. So we have to have you could have 5-day suspension, but instead, if you agree for your child to attend the JUMP program, we'll lower it down to this. So we're really trying to be very creative in working with the parents so that they see the benefit of the program. They have to drop the student off at the sheriff's office. You have to pick them up later in the afternoon. It is a full day program. They get jail lunch, and we're hoping that it'll have good success once we get that going.
Boy.
And then we could discuss it later, then the idea of, do we want all doors to be electronic or not? We don't have to discuss that now because we're short on time. Because that's a strategic vision that we have to
I think that would be part of the security discussion that maybe we wouldn't necessarily want to hold in public either.
Executive session?
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. Then the last thing is, I was part of that cell phone debate, no longer. I have no intentions of changing it. I think you guys have done an excellent job. Keep it as is, because I remember we talked about it when we first did it. Well, let's see what the results are at the end of the year. Like you said, we have parent buy-in. I mean, the discipline's there, students interact. I have zero appetite for, I'm only one board member, I don't know the rest of the board.
I didn't have an appetite
But I have zero appetite to
begin with.
modify the
It's
cell
like,
phone policy.
take away.
All right, then I think the strategic plan workshop is adjourned.
Thank
All right, thank you. Thank you, team.